46 weeks to Madiera. Welcome back to the weekly video diary with updates on my journey as a returning senior athlete going to the European Masters Athletics Championships in 2025 in October in Madiera, Portugal. And this instalment will be unfortunately focusing more on dealing with adversity. Yeah, I said last time I was going to be talking about training different energy systems for different events. I'm going to talk a bit more about that because I didn't really touch too much on it, particularly on endurance, training the endurance system, and then a bit of some of my thoughts about my goal setting and how that fits into my scheduling over the next few months, because some of the difficulties just been getting through the sessions with my schedule as a 34-year-old doctor. So yeah, tonight really difficult to get out here on the track. I had to go back to London for some meetings in the afternoon, and yeah, so there's some stuff that was well within my control and there's some stuff that wasn't. So what was in my control that I regret, I just spent a lot of time this morning just sitting in bed on my phone, scrolling, watching stuff like reality TV of survival, like and then when I went out to London, there was some delays with traffic and a really bad storm, really poor visibility, so I was kind of dreading coming back. And similar to a few weeks ago when I came out just for the last 15 minutes of the track being open, this time it was only half an hour and it was chucking it down. So yeah, just a bit rubbish to miss another proper session again, given I was away last week. So yeah, so what did we do this evening? Just got out, said hi to a couple of the coaches. I just got myself to the track, had a look out, got myself changed, had a sip of Lucozade, and where's my Lucozade gone? And yeah, just assess the situation from there. I always find it's much better even if you say, well, I'll just get to the track and I'll get my stuff on and not do anything. You often find that by the time you actually do those basic things, you actually feel a lot better and you feel like, no, I actually really do want to do something. So I just went out and I did a 1,000-metre time trial. So the 800 metres that I came out and done before, I bumped up to 1,000 metres and logged the time as well. So yeah, in some ways that was a real victory just to maintain the discipline. I've got my tag, another week, another tag for the wall, and that's just part of the slog right now. A lot of elite athletes talk about a solid training block, especially during the winter, and that means that they're just getting back-to-back training sessions, and I'm just really not getting that. But in some ways this block is just a mental block, but it's just a solid training of the brain and the willpower. So yeah, I've got to eat some honest pie, eat some humble pie, and realise that some of my scheduling things, particularly when it comes to going away, flying away out the country, coming back late at night, relying on unreliable airlines, etc., and hoping for the best, isn't really going to cut it in the long term. And maybe I just need to cut my holidays short by a day or half a day, and just to get back in time, getting a good rhythm of sleep. Because yeah, basically this week on Tuesday I was absolutely out of it after getting very poor sleep on Sunday night rather, and having an all-day theatre on the Monday. So I'm actually just going to splice a little segment of where I was on Tuesday morning with that. So let's have a look. So we're really struggling here to get out the door for our first gym session of the week. I'm recording this as a way to try and get myself out the door. Just had a short night on Sunday night, getting back really late from on holiday, with some delays, and then a long day in theatre yesterday, and just throw my sleep cycle off. I've got an hour and a half till I need to really be back in work, having taken today as annual leave to catch up on things. I haven't really caught up on anything. I've just been, just been too tired to do anything productive, but too awake to actually sleep. Um, Today is the first week of the second segment of the Big Man in Campus trainer that I'm doing. So I really need to be sharp, but I just, and I can't take like caffeine or anything like that just now because I want to get back to get even just a 20-minute nap in the afternoon. So I'll recap on this on Thursday night, but let's just say we're heading out with some. I take some vitamin D and fish oils and some sugar as a placebo, and I've done this video as some self-flagellation. Yeah, so just watching that back there, I realised I was repeating myself a bit in terms of making excuses for how I felt. But yeah, that was just, it was really clear that I was not energised. I wasn't happy with myself and with my own decisions. And I think it's really important at this point in this journey to be sufficiently merciful with myself and not have too high expectations, but at the same time not have too low expectations. So calibrating that right's really, really requiring a lot of skill and mental flexibility right now. So the good news is I got in, I did the session, I got a good chest and triceps workout. I didn't get a nap, but I got into work, and we're still kind of on track. So I might use that again in future. Just a 1 minute video of pure annoyance. So how was the session tonight? Well, I ran 1,000 meters, and I just really wanted to get a time in, see where I was, get a baseline time. No session before it, pretty much fresh, and as I was running around, I went a bit slower than I did for the 800 metre to begin with, because I was able to pace myself a bit more. But as I was running towards the line, I could see it was getting up to 4 minutes, and that just gave me the last burst to really go for it. And even that dip at the line, and so I'll screenshot the time there on my stopwatch, but it's essentially 3 minutes 99 and 99 seconds and 98 milliseconds, and it's hand time, so it's not exactly accurate. But that does get me points in an indoor heptathlon. It'd get me 14,000 points, which is really at the lower end of the scale. To put that in context, that would only give me half as much points if I could replicate my long jump that I did within the last year. It would only give me a third to a quarter of the points if I was able to replicate my best, my most recent 60 metres, for instance. So it's really not my best event. But that brings me back to how I train in the different energy systems, particularly the aerobic system, the oxidative glycolytic system. So obviously you've got different energy systems in the body, and we know we've got the lactate threshold where lactate threshold training is just slow failure of the muscles, just delaying the failure of the muscles, whereas the aerobic is where you're actually mobilising those energy reserves, and it's potentially a very long burn, and you can potentially go for a long time. The aerobic training is just so different to most of the rest of the stuff I'm doing. The rest of it's high power, it's sprinting, it's bounding, it's all short stuff. The only thing that's long is the 1500 or the 1000 in the multi-events. So many people kind of just don't even train specifically for that. They'll maybe do bits and bobs and just allow it to be their bad event. I think that's a good strategy for me. I am hoping that the cardiovascular work that I'm doing through everything else, with my heart rate up and just the endurance of getting through a session, will be training those energy systems. I don't want there to be many more of these nights when I'm just coming out and doing endurance, because I can do that anytime by myself. I don't need an athletics club. I don't need the facilities here. But it'll be really interesting to come back after a couple of months. I'll probably have another night like this where I won't be able to do much else but just come and do a time trial. It'll be interesting to see if that goes up. And yeah, so that's a bit about the longer distance. I do think within race conditions, with a wee bit of training, I could definitely go faster. And again, it was like a really windy night indoors. You'd hope that you'd be doing a bit better than that. So yeah, really, still try to take the positives from this. We just don't know how things are going to go. We still haven't selected our final event. I've been doing a lot more reading into the heptathlon and how to train for different events at the same time. One thing I'm even just doing is at the start of each workout is just doing a run for 5 minutes. Nothing too crazy, but it's working that. You could say, well, why am I working one end of the spectrum, building muscle, which is the least kind of cardiovascularly fit thing you could do, and at the same time, at the other end of the spectrum, working on just basic aerobic fitness. There's not a huge deal of overlap between those. Surely it'd be better to focus on more closely related modalities. And part of that is that the endurance stuff is just not neurologically demanding. It's demanding in the moment, but you're not worn down. You bounce back quite quickly the next day. People go out runs every single day that are training for like 5Ks and 10Ks. You can't do that with, say, intense powerlifting or rather intense Olympic lifting or powerlifting or even the plyometric stuff. It's really draining on the brain and on the nervous system. So yeah, there is a slight opportunity to build that cardiovascular base while I'm building muscle. And we know that we're going to come to the strength work later. We know we're going to come to the power work later. Yeah, even to get through some of the more difficult sessions that I'm going to have to do in the track, I'm going to need a bit more of a cardiovascular base anyway. So some of it's kind of almost pre-rehabilitation for some of the training we're going to be doing. So enough said on that. Back next week for 45. Next Thursday I'm going to be away presenting at a conference, so it's unlikely I'll be back in time, so we're going to have to work some creative things around with that. One of the limitations, like I said, about taking holidays, I'm going to have to be more gentle with my holiday schedule. The other one is just maybe with some of the extracurricular stuff I'm doing, lowering my aims for some of that and just saying I'm going to do a bit less this year. So goal setting, we're still focusing on it's not even a year now, it's only 10 months, and I'll catch you back next week at some point.